Hi, I'm Liam Jones, aka Cera Alba. I'm a DJ, music producer and music instructor here at Point Blank. In this second video, we'll be talking about effects, looping, cue points and the brand new freeze mode in the S8 controller. For more information on courses in London, LA and online, check www.pointblanklondon.com. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the effects units now. So you can see here it's in the top right-hand or left-hand, panel. We've got an effect selection, then we've got a wet and dry control, and we've also got 3 parameter controls. So I'll just put this track on. The main advantage with the effects on this unit is that it's touch sensitive and we get a rating controls on the screen. So you'll see when I turn this, I can actually see my delay percentage going up. I can also see a filter and a feedback and even a rate. So the advantage with this is being able to see the rate or the amount of reverb or whatever effect you're using prior to actually entering onto the mix or onto your track. So to turn it on, we just need to turn the wet and dry on. You can hear that coming through, then I can change my rate, change my filter, maybe filter it out on the mixers. So again, you're just getting a real visual reference as to what you're doing with your effects. On the main channels, the easiest way to select your effect, you can see here there's a right and a left. I often put my left effects to my left channels, my right to my right, simple as that. So yeah, very powerful effects unit. Just to go through a few more as well, actually, you can see when we enter our effects selection, it's quite clear what effects we can select. It's really obvious. So let's just put on a reverb for a second there. So if I touch this controller, you can see there I can actually bring my reverb right up to say 80%, maybe bring the size up. I can see what I'm doing before it actually comes in. So again, very useful, very visual. So the next point I'm going to talk about is cue points. So you'll see further down here, we've got a little section called performance. Now, normally Traktor will create an automatic cue point at the beginning of the track. So we can see there that's highlighted in white. Obviously, if we want to enter more cue points or even loop points later on in the track, we can do that via this tool here. There's a few ways of doing it. So first of all, I'm just going to shift along and move through the track, find another place to put a cue point. Okay, so around here, maybe I'll just do it at this drop. So all we have to do is press a blank panel and it will create a cue point. That will then be saved to your Traktor as per if you did it on the software, and it will hold a blue light, LED light there to show you that that's a cue point. And we can use that whenever we want to. Another way of doing it would be to stop the track and you could find your cue points. So let's say, for example, we want it to go a little bit before that, so 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check that cue. Let's go a bit further back. So if we're stopped there and we've cued, we can also make another cue point. So again, it's really easy to create hot cue points and then they're saved for however long you want. The next point I'm going to talk about is looping, and also looping and how you can save loop points in here as well. So this is our designated loop controller. Basically, you can change the increment of this loop, so you can change the amount of beats you want to loop. So you can see I can go right down, and on the screen there you can see 132, right up to 32 beats. So let's say if we just turn it to 8, it's really easy because we can see on the screen that it changes, but also in the top middle center, you can see the loop number itself. So if I just bring in a 4-beat loop there, all I have to do is press the button in and it'll hold that loop. And you can also see that the light on the actual controller shows that it's activated. But even more obviously on the screen, it's so clear that you can see the green loop activated on there. So let's say if we wanted to keep that loop, we could easily just keep it by simply pressing that while it's activated. So now I can jump back to these other loops. And then if I want to jump back to that original loop I just saved, simple as that. And they're saved now from now on. So really useful, really easy way of using loops. Again, the same as the S4 and previous controls, we can change the length of the loop while we're doing it. So if we want to build in little drum loops or little rolls, we can do that quite easily by changing the increment. So again, really powerful loop controls and really easy to do. That's completely designated to looping. So also you'll notice down here on the left-hand side, we've got a hot cue, but we've also got a loop function. Now what this does is gives us these pads here. So the top line will light up in green, the lower line will light up in a kind of reddy orangey colour. Now the top line on the far right hand side gives us 1 full beat loop. So if I just loop this 1 beat before the track, I can actually go across this kind of drum roll to half a beat, to 1/8, to 1/4, sorry, 1/4, sorry, and then to 1/8. and then drop it back in. So it's a really easy way of creating a drum loop before a breakdown or before a track comes back in. Instead of using the actual loop function. Also on here on the kind of lower pad when we're in loop mode, we'll see that these orange pads actually represent move. So you can see if I change the loop function amount to 16, the outside pads will jump the track either forward 16 or back 16. So I can flick quite far through the track, let's set to 32. And you can see it keeps the time perfectly in the track as well, so it never feels like the track comes out of position. And we've also got in the center here a move function which jumps one beat back and forward. So it's really, really accessible, and it kind of gives you every option you need, but all compacted into one performance space. You've got your move functions, your drum roll functions, and your hotkey functions and loop functions all in that one space. The next mode I'm going to talk about is the freeze mode. Now this is, as I said earlier, new to this controller and new to Traktor 2.7. So what can we do with freeze mode and what is it useful for? Let me just jump back a little bit in this track so I can show you what I'm talking about. So freeze mode breaks the track down into 8 parts. So if I show you what I mean in a second, let's just get this forward a little bit. If I press freeze mode at this point, you'll see now it's broken the track into 8 points. And you can actually see these 8 points on the performance pad. If I press these 8 points, I can actually go back to them and play them almost like a beat loop, almost like a kind of... If I let the track go, it'll carry on playing. And then that freeze mode will be held until I remove the freeze. So it's quite cool because you can create some little vocal loops, little vocal hits. But the real advantage with freeze mode comes in when you start to loop it. So let's bring it down to 8. So I've got now a loop bar there, 8, which is fine. If I press freeze at this point, it'll break the loop up again, same as freeze mode before. You can see it playing across with the lit part, but I can actually hold one part and just hold it down and loop it. I can even change this loop, this smaller loop within a loop. But then once I release it, it still holds the end loop. So, I mean, there's kind of endless possibilities to create unique kind of build-ups. Also, once we're in this 8-bar loop, we can actually reduce this and cut the actual length that we've actually cut in the first place. So we can put it down to 4 and make it even tighter. So again, there's lots of accessibility using the freeze mode to create kind of loops and different kind of experiences for people. Bring it in again, show you something else. Bring it in. So you can create a lot of build-ups and a lot of drops with that. So yeah, that's the freeze mode.